thanks for staying with us. So last week we took a story. The United Kingdom warned that there might be a restriction on students and work visas on Nigerians due to the number of dependents that they bring along with them. On the show today, we have a UK-based Nigerian immigration lawyer, Dr. Bukola Fatiroti, to speak further on this and some of the abnormalities observed by the British government. Welcome to the show, Dr. Bukola. Are you there?
Yes, I'm Morayo. Good morning to you and the ladies in the studio.
Good morning. Yes, we hope to get a picture of you very soon. So, when we discussed this earlier, we had so many perspectives on the reasons why the British government might be considering this, the anomalies when it happens amongst Nigerians, what we do, what we don't do. But I'd like to start with you today and explain to us, in your view, why do you think the British government is planning to impose some of these restrictions on Nigerians?
Thank you, Morayo. One thing, the first thing we need to establish is that immigration is not bad. Immigration is as old as man himself. As in, there are patriarchs in the Bible who actually migrated from one part to the other. However, what has been observed recently is the influx of Nigerians and other nationals who are coming into the country. And it is actually beyond the expectation of the British government, because they were not contemplating the numbers that were coming in at the moment. So it's more of a public policy issue, as in the immigration policy itself has not been thought through. And I'm not trying to bash the British government. It's a case of you cannot approbate and reprobate. As in education, which is one of the ways bringing people into the country. When people are coming, they don't want to leave their family behind. And immigrants are actually making sacrifices. If you look at the recent figures, as in, this thing is not just about Nigerians. Also, we need to understand that context. The first in India, the Indians, they came in, 117,000 Indians came into the country, followed by Chinese, 115,000 plus, then Nigerians, 65,000 plus. All these numbers that I gave include their dependents, you understand me? So these three countries, they're actually the top ones. So don't let us look at it from Nigerian angles only. Americans also come here, and British themselves, they go overseas. As in British, for example, they go to Canada, they go to Australia, because of maybe they want a better situation. So that is why I said earlier on that immigration is not actually bad, as being made to appear. But the mistake the British government made is that when they're changing the policy, they did not contemplate the fact that many Nigerians, as in looking at what is happening in the country, will be coming like that. And if I can quickly take some steps back, historically, the post-study visa, which we have now, has been in existence since 2004, when we have the graduate and engineering scheme. But because they've realized that, okay, if we have other opportunities for people coming into the country, we'll be able to retain best of the talent. I remember Prime Minister David Cameron saying at that time that we always want the best of the best. So immigration is selfish. That's another thing. It is selfish for the people actually moving away from their own country. And it is also selfish for recipient countries, especially a developed world, who are actually opening their borders so that immigrants could come into their countries. But you cannot pick and choose. That is one thing we need to understand about immigration policy.
Amazing. So I don't personally have a problem with immigration, like you mentioned. It's not bad in itself. But when you want to pass an information, there's a mindset that you would have to consider as a nation, okay? One of the reasons some people had a problem was the way the message was passed. What impacts do you think that, really now the data of everything, all the people that are coming in through Nigeria will make on the citizens of UK? How do you think they will receive the news? Shouldn't it have been better if what they had generated from allowing Nigerians come in be established, while they now say, okay, however, we are now getting to the top where we may have to give restrictions. Shouldn't that have been a better way to convey the message?
Well, I think, again, we listen to the news rather than listening to the person who is speaking, because the Home Office Secretary who made this statement, as in, we didn't know what was said, but I actually read a couple of papers which is saying, okay, Nigerians are bringing in more number of relatives. Those things may actually spark a sort of protest, as in, for example, when the Jamaicans, when they came into the country in what was known as Windrush, they were not well received. But the world has actually moved. Again, let's quickly talk about EU. Before UK left out of EU, one of the politicians there by the name Farage was always talking about what immigrants are doing, criticizing people from Poland, criticizing people from Romania. He has a point, but the way he's putting the message across is the problem. Possibly it is not about the number of people coming in, but what is existing as in the infrastructure. Again, we need to recognize the fact that when you are bringing in too many people in your country, you need to prepare the infrastructure to welcome them. And I believe that is the fear of the Home Secretary. But again, UK need people, as in look at doctors, healthcare workers, education, which is my area, for example. Education is an import for a country like UK, for a country like Australia, for a country like Canada. So, but when you're putting the message across, make sure you say it in the right way, especially when you're talking about cyber bullying earlier on, but I won't want to go into that now.
So for me, as a Nigerian, I'm living here in my country, and we're constantly talking about how this immigration is negatively affecting our home country. What would you think? I just want to find out from, someone like you, what is the best advice so that we are not constantly giving our best out? Is it really a problem of Nigeria, or is it just that where there are better opportunities, people would always find their way out?
Thank you. That's Miriam, I believe. I listened to the interview as in the program on Monday, and I really like your submissions. I really like it, as in you were so passionate about it. Nobody would like to leave his people. As in, I've been in the UK for about 20 years now. I went to one of the best universities in Nigeria. University of Ibadan, precisely, Premier University. Do you think I would love to leave my people, the food that I like, the language that I like, if the country is a country where the son of nobody has the assurance of becoming somebody without any influence? Do you think people will be rushing out of the country? We should make our own. You understand? I'm not criticizing any government. As in, the way I stand, I'm not for any political party. I'm for good governance. So I don't want anybody to spend this thing to say, maybe I'm criticizing the current government. No, the problem we have is not of today. You understand me? So one thing is that the government should make their home attractive. And that's why I pointed out earlier on that immigration is not something that we should even look at from developing countries only. There are illegal Americans living in the UK. Would you believe that? I was on the plane one time, and immediately the couple that sat beside me realized that I was working as an immigration lawyer. They said, oh, is there any way you could help our son? These are British couple traveling to the US to see their son because they wanted him to get a permanent residence in there. So if governments can make their country suitable, their country habitable, that the youths will have no reason to run away, I think nobody will be moving out the way we're moving out at the moment.
All right, so I would like to ask, I'm going to, take another angle entirely from what she has said. What if, as you have said, that the Americans living in the UK and they are illegal, one would be surprised because you would think that their country is actually good. But now, if the governments now make thing nice and people should stay back, but you still have people who want to go to other countries. I am asking here, with these statements that, you know, the Home Office has made, what do you think, you know, can be done? Would you say that it is on Nigerians, or how do we control the relatives, the family members we take abroad? How does that even happen? Like, how can this be nipped in the bud so that it does not affect people who want to travel out of the country?
Okay, before I come to that answer, is that nobody can be satisfied. You understand me? All our needs are insatiable. So irrespective of how your country is, people migrating at times is not just for money. Some people actually migrate for freedom. You understand? If you look at, for some people may migrate because of their sexuality, because of persecution. We need to recognize that. But now going to this issue of relatives. A country will decide who comes in. If you're coming to the UK, for example, and you want to study an undergraduate program, you are not allowed to bring in your family members. So where there is no law
There is no
restricting or placing a cap on the numbers of people that you can bring in as much you can prove that they're your they're your children or your wife or your husband, that is enough. There are countries in the world that you can never get their citizenship. Countries like Qatar, countries like Saudi, countries like North Korea, if you live there for 50 years, you can't get their citizenship. So if we don't want, if UK, for example, does not want Nigerians or any other country to bring in their relatives, they can remove that motivation. But at the same time, they realize that, okay, these people have access to what is called family life. So if you have not removed that cap, if you have not removed that incentive, and you allow them to bring in their family members, they may be able to appeal that they have been hindered or prevented in exercising their family life.
You know, I have a theory in my head that comes to mind, you know, because sometimes when you think of immigration, we don't have enough data. That's the sad thing about Nigeria. We don't have enough data to help us really understand the full picture. Because I feel that many of us...
Economic impact.
The economic impact, yes, even those going and even those coming back. For me, I feel that the Nigerians who are doing so well abroad are those who have their first degree here, because we love to paint how Nigeria is so bad. But many people live here with their first degree, go there, do additional courses, and then get great jobs. Many Nigerians who struggle, that I find, and as I said, I don't have the data, somewhat who struggle are those who are somewhat born in the system, you know, where they go into the system and they're born, they're raised there, and they just trickle into and just blend with the average African American or British American, how is it black British,
American,
or,
yeah.
you know, and they're stereotyped into this community and they have the regular jobs, you know. Help me with some data as an immigration lawyer. You're a lecturer, you might have some data to help me out here. What are the numbers looking at? Is it really beneficial economically for us to lose? Is it beneficial for them, actually, to gain us? Or how is it more beneficial for us to gain them back to Nigeria? What do we do to bring them back home? I don't know if I'm making this sense.
Yes, you are.
I get your point. It is, you see, it is beneficial both ways, and it is destructive both ways if it is not managed. I am after controlled immigration. It's not because I have British citizenship. I have dual citizenship. Now, let us quickly look at the economic benefit. The remittance, according to the World Immigration Report of 2018, Nigeria is ranked 6th. Nigeria actually got remittances of $22 billion, which is 5.84 of our GDP. You look at that. And another thing is that some families, what they achieve, they might have not been able to achieve it, if not because of immigration. As in, maybe they now have somebody overseas who is sending money to them, who actually help them to pay school fees, and so on and so forth. And again, we've seen people, as in, I've watched your program, I've seen people who came to this country who made money, and they came to either establish a business, like the cardiologist that actually came earlier on. He was in the US. He came to Nigeria. He was able to establish a business. So that is one thing. Now, for UK or for the recipient countries, so I don't want us to focus too much on the UK. For recipient countries, one thing you will realize is that they also get their own benefit in terms of skills. So if expats or if they're moving out of Nigeria, it means there will be brain drain in Nigeria. So we need to recognize that, but which means for Nigeria to retain their best, they should make the country a bit. Look at ASU, and let me use myself as a personal example. I have 2 undergraduate degrees. My first degree was in English language. I spent 7 years doing it. Wow. Think about that. Wow. When I went back to the university to study law, I spent 5 years, which means I spent 12 years obtaining my first degree. When I moved to the UK, my master's, I finished them on time. When I did my PhD, the same thing was applicable. So you can imagine, Nigeria will not be losing their students, for example. Again, I'm sure my universities in the UK will not want me to say this. If the UK education, if the Nigerian educational system is fantastic, not in terms of lecturers, as in we have very good lecturers in Nigeria, I can say that, but if you come in at a particular time and you graduate at the right time, then what is the incentive of running overseas? If you want to perform an experiment, I have colleagues who have to use their own money to buy data, as in, I don't have to use my money to buy data when I'm working in the UK. So you see, it's both ways. Both countries actually benefit. And when you have too many people coming into a particular country, it can cause the rate of crime to go up. Because this is one of actually the arguments against international trading.
Let me have to wrap up there, Dr. Bukola Fatiroti. I have to wrap up, but thank you so much. We just needed to get a more enlightened perspective to this conversation, because we had shared our own personal views on this week, and we just thought it was important to get an immigration lawyer who is also a lecturer in the UK to shed some light, and I think you've done justice to that. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, that's all we can take on the show today. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.